I have now the great pleasure of introducing our first guest speaker, Robert Joyce, who comes here from the west of Ireland like myself. And Robert's an embedded patient researcher, and over the last 4 years has has become a patient advocate. And he's doing amazing work. He's been involved as part-time researcher assistant on the COV-MS, which is the Cognitive Occupation-Based Program for people with multiple sclerosis. Amazing work, and we look forward to hearing his presentation, which will be on, it's pre-recorded, so we'll go into that and then we'll take questions. Robert is here with us live this morning. Thank you.
About 17 years ago, I started a new medication for treating my multiple sclerosis. It was an off-label prescription, and this drug was hopefully going to resolve the fact that on my previous medication, I was getting a relapse every 3 months or so, and each relapse was a little bit worse. Once I started this medicine, after about 6 weeks, my symptoms all disappeared. It was phenomenal. It was like a new life. And I wanted to share this with so many people that they could possibly have the same experience that I had. To do this, I shared my story through the MS Society. There was an article in a newspaper, and I also had the privilege of meeting then Minister for Health, Mary Harney. And I presented her the situation that this drug actually almost was like a cure for my multiple sclerosis. The great thing about this medicine was it was significantly cheaper than the medicine that I had been taking before, which was costing about 1,200 euros a month. And this drug only costs about 10 euros a month to manufacture. That would have been a huge saving. So I thought absolutely the Minister for Health would be very interested in this, just considering the cost savings that could be made if a trial was done on this medicine. Full of enthusiasm and vigor, I went to speak to her and presented my case. It fell on deaf ears. Nothing happened. I followed up, nothing, zero. It was really disappointing. And I could not understand how such a wonderful opportunity for people with MS could be ignored. Nothing happened. And as I realize now, given the hindsight of 17 years, there was a problem with my presentation. I did something wrong. I did not know about the medicine's process, how the new treatments are developed, how they are studied, researched, and eventually come to market. I was in a position of ignorance, and as a result, I was not able to achieve my goal, which was a pity. Now, I left it. I didn't do anything for many years. And then about 7 years ago, I was in a car accident, and my MS symptoms, which had disappeared as a result of this drug, came back again. It was not good. And I also had chronic headaches as a result of this accident, and I still have them today. They haven't changed. They haven't disappeared. So in 2017, I was kind of bereft. I had to stop working. My MS didn't allow me to do physical work because of mobility problems, and my headache wouldn't allow me to do stuff that involved concentration. My life had reduced into what I called 30-minute blocks. And this inspired me to start a blog, which I called A 30-Minute Life, because I have to live my life in these small half-hour segments. I cannot do anything longer than that without coming with a cost of more pain, lost mobility, and fatigue. My blog was great. It allowed me to share my life, my experience, what I had learned, and there was a community out there that was listening. They wanted to hear what I was doing, how my MS was affecting me, how pain and fatigue would curtail my life. But I had found a way of sharing my experience, and this is what the blog gave me. My blog then inspired me to do more with the MS Society. So I joined the MS and Me blogger group, which is a blog that the MS Society is running. And I also was a subscriber of their research newsletter, which I read every month. In one of these newsletters, I saw an ad for a new post of a research assistant on a trial in the university, the COB MS trial. And this is a feasibility study on a cognitive therapy for treating people with multiple sclerosis. The thought that I could be involved in research was something kind of novel to me. And there was two aspects to this recruitment. One is they wanted an assistant researcher who had experience of MS, either as a carer or a patient themselves, or to be on their advisory panel, both of which I was interested in. And I declared that when I applied for the job. Any way that I could help, any way that I could do my bit for my community. I was fortunate to get the role of the assistant researcher, and now that was started in July 2019. I don't call myself an assistant researcher anymore. I call myself an embedded patient researcher, which the name was coined by my colleague, Dr. Chris Dwyer, on the trial. This role is extremely interesting. I am part of the team. The COB-MS trial has a significant amount of patient involvement in how it was formulated, how it's operated, and hopefully in the dissemination of the results of the trial when they are completed. The MS Society was involved at the very beginning in putting together the grant application for the trial and was involved in the interview process of me and the other people with MS who are on the patient advisory panel. Then every meeting that was conducted of the trial, I was there. I got to hear on a weekly basis what was happening, where the trial was going, and what obstacles or achievements we had made. Along the way, I experienced one or two things which I think are of note. The first one is one day a participant manual was shown to the group. It looked great. It had a wonderful cover on it. It was well made as a booklet. But I was able to say to my colleagues, this booklet is no good for people with MS. The thing is, they never felt that booklet with hands that have MS. So there's a number of issues that I have. I have pins and needles in my fingertips. The sensation is poor. Sometimes my dexterity is not as great as it could be. And I know I'm not the worst person with MS. You have people who have tremors, which makes it difficult to hold a page. And I said to them, really, this booklet needs to be completely redesigned. We had a healthy and robust discussion at that meeting, discussing all the ins and outs of what we should and shouldn't do. And we came to a consensus at the end. And this is what I love. We actually worked as a team to develop this booklet. Once we had come up with some type of solution, then we brought it to the patient advisory panel, and they added some extra bits onto what I had already suggested. Now we had a booklet that was really suitable for the participants. Now, what effect will this have on the trial that we're conducting? The main thing is it's actually subtle. The patients or the participants in the trial will not know that it was designed specifically for them. It will just feel inherently correct. And this is what I love. This will make their experience of being part of this trial a little bit better. Another incident that we had is recruitment, and this is the bugbear of so much research, is how to recruit enough participants. Now, we had been doing pretty well. We had recruited roughly half our participants in a short order of time, but we had only recruited half. And I was at one meeting and we were discussing this and about things that we could do to increase the number of participants. I suggested that we do some stuff on the radio or maybe newspapers. And Dr. Sinead Hines, who is the principal investigator on the trial, said, sure, go ahead, try it, see what you can do. And I immediately left that meeting, walked down to the Connacht Tribune's offices and asked them if they would do an interview about me and about our trial. They did. They actually said yes. And an article was in the City Tribune and in the Connacht Tribune. And from this, I decided that maybe we should do a bit more. I was interviewed on various radio stations, local and national, on national newspapers and on local newspapers. As a result, we recruited our full cohort of participants that we needed. This was a success. And I think if you look back on it, one of the issues that is there about patient involvement in research is a box ticking exercise. Many trials include participants, but only at a peripheral level, or once something has been designed and then the participants or the people with the illness are asked, what do you think of this? Do you think it's suitable? And it's very hard to change. And if you do change it, it is costly and it takes extra time and effort. And I can imagine as a researcher, you're looking at those patients saying, God, look at this, it's just creating more trouble. It's making my job harder. However, in our trial, because the patient is involved all the time in a true collaborative sense, it actually saves us time, it saves us effort, and it saves us cost, because we don't do something that isn't appropriate. And I think this is what makes patient involvement at an early stage and throughout the process so successful. Now, there is an aspect of this that we need to really look at, because there is a suitable person to be there on a weekly basis, but also you need the different types of illness represented by different people, and that's where the patient advisory panel comes in. So there's a role for everyone at every stage of their illness. You can contribute a little bit, or you can contribute a lot. It depends on your capacity, on the time that you have available, and the resources that you have. Now, what have I done in the last while to improve my ability to work in research? One area that I was lacking, which I told you about when I talked about Mary Harn earlier, was my knowledge of the medicines development system. And a colleague of mine on the MSME blog, Joan Jordan, had done a course with UPATI, which is a European organization that teaches patients on the medicines process from the very beginning all the way to post-marketing or post-marketing authorization testing. I have now completed these studies and I am a patient expert now, trained by UPATI. And this knowledge has really strengthened me. It has made me a better patient advocate, and that's really what I want to do. So how, as a patient, can I be involved? What are the different areas of research or advocacy that I can be involved in? Well, I see there's three distinct areas. The first is regular research, which I'm doing in the university. The second is community work. And this is trying to be the voice of your community, sharing your knowledge. And this is what my blog was doing for me, and what the MS and Me blog on the MS Society's website is doing. I am also contributing in this in a way. I'm working with the MS Society, producing a webinar series on how to manage progressive MS and how to become more resilient in the face of an illness that makes you gradually get worse. What can you do? And the MS Society has supported me in creating this webinar series. And it's fantastic. I get to speak to very knowledgeable people, doctors and researchers who have specific knowledge in different areas. And this is shared with the community. Another thing is policy and regulatory matters. So how does the state manage research? How does the state incorporate the patient or the public in the work that they do. My goal was to see if there are extra things that I can contribute to help ensure that patients are involved in research at all stages. So I'm doing work with the HSE, which is extremely interesting because we're working on the new research and development policy of the HSE. Where is it going to go? How should it be done? What is the consent policy like? How does it manage information? And this is really interesting for me because it is not going to affect me as an individual in the short term, but it will impact my community and the wider community in a very significant way. To be part of that is fantastic. To know that my voice is a contribution to pharmaceutical organizations to help improve the quality of their work. And for example, with Roche, I am doing some work on an app that they have developed to help make appointments for people within the HSE. Now, this is still a development project, but Roche has included patients from the very, very beginning in the idea generation stage. And that's very powerful because as the product is being designed, it is being designed appropriate to the patient. My lived experience of using the HSE services, I know what the problems are. I've experienced them on a daily basis almost. And to be able to share that experience with them means that the product that is developed is far more appropriate. And it won't be developed in an incorrect way. It'll be designed suitable for our needs. I think that's incredibly powerful. And many patients can get involved in this. And it would be nice to see people from all different walks of life. We need true diversity and inclusivity because traditionally medicines have been tested on white males like myself, and that's really not appropriate. We need to have more women involved in research. We need to have people from different ethnic communities with different needs and motivators for getting involved in research or getting therapy. I think one of the things that is a thread through most of the work that I have done is the power of the patient's story. The experience that I have to be able to articulate it to other people, people who are researchers, academics, people who have had a lot of training, but their training has been in front of a page. They haven't actually experienced what it's like to have an illness and the needs and desires that we have. Sometimes it is pain, but other times we can have depression, fatigue, we can feel this deflation that is caused by our illness. It has robbed us of something. And sometimes those medicines that we get are actually making us feel worse because of the side effects of them. Maybe they're not appropriate for what we need because of the extra burden. The focus has to be on improving the quality of life of the patient. But we did experience the challenges, and I certainly experienced challenges being a patient advocate. Things like parking spaces, toilets, sound, lights within the university, distances. I had huge issues with these. And that was a difficulty when I started the job, but these have been resolved in one sense by the university, but also COVID has changed things dramatically. I now work from home all the time. And you can see here, this is my cave, this is my home where I get to touch the world from Clifton in Connemara. It's a wonderful thing that now, using the power of the internet and the technology that's there, I now can use my voice speaking with people in the United States, Switzerland, Germany, the UK, and here in Ireland. And it doesn't matter geographically where we are. We can share our voices, and this will help to improve patient involvement on into the future. But a couple of weeks ago, I also was a panelist where we're talking about patients in education. And I think this is what will help to improve patient involvement in the future. Having the patient as part of the education process there almost on a daily basis. So as we're training our new healthcare professionals into the future, they know what a patient is like. We're not alien. We're not just a set of symptoms. We're actually human. And I think that will change a lot of the way research is done and the way patients are treated when they get to hospital. We need more people like me willing to share our experience of our illnesses with researchers. We need to work collaboratively, working together, and we will find better solutions and more appropriate solutions for patients. Now, going back to my experience 17 years ago with Mary Harney, I think I'm much better placed today to maybe get this trial done. Perhaps now that I have learned through you, Patty, about the medicine's development process, what I've learned in the university about day-to-day research challenges and the cost of it, perhaps now I would be better placed to make my argument for research in a medicine that could potentially improve the quality of life of people with MS and reduce the cost base for the country. What a change in 17 years. What opportunity there is now, and the work that PPI Ignite is doing, the work that NUIG is doing, and organizations like IPOSI, which are trying to ensure that there is more and more public and patient involvement in research into the future. Thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to your questions.